What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. So today we're going over Azure Archon Shards, or Blue Archon Shards they're normally referred to as, and I've just been getting a lot of questions. Hey, who should I put these on? I have a bunch of these and not a bunch of red ones, or yellow ones, or amber ones, or whatever. Who should I use these Blue Archon Shards on? I'm going to give you a quick overview of who I usually recommend you put Blue Archon Shards on. Keeping in mind, they're not always going to be the best option, but there's some situations and builds where you might actually want to use these blue Azure Archon Shards to maybe mod for something more useful on your actual build. Before we get into it, make sure you're subbed to this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads, and also make sure you check out the live stream channel as well, because we do live stream Warframe quite a bit, and we'll be live later tonight. Alright, so this might be a video more aimed towards like mid-game and earlier game players, so keep that in mind if you already know a bunch of this stuff. So if you want to get access to getting these shards to drop in the first place, so just start off with the baseline here, you need to be able to do these Archon hunts and also call missions. To get access to this stuff, it's a weekly mission, one of the only ways to get Archon shards. You need to do the Veilbreaker quest, and to get access to the Veilbreaker quest, you need to do some other quests before that, mainly the New War. And to do the New War, you're going to have a Necromech and a Railjack. So, as you see way down here, Prelude to War, the New War. You need to beat the New War, and then you'll get access to, I believe, Zeramon's ship, and then also Veilbreaker quest. This is the quest you need to beat to get access to this stuff, guys. Okay, so after you beat that, then you can start doing the weeklies. I'd say, honestly, if you are like a mid-game player, do the New War and get access to these as quickly as possible, because you want to get those Archon shards to get the strongest builds possible in the entire game, okay? So, now we've established how you get these shards, let's go over what they can be used for. And just a quick overview right now of what I've been using a lot of Archon shards for. It's on Titania. I'm giving Titania increased energy max by a 250. If you look at my build on Titania, I'm going to link a build guide on this one in the description, but this is Neutron Star Titania. The idea of this build is for opening up boxes on Ukko in the Void, which is a Void mission. It's my go-to bile farm. So basically, you activate the Helmet ability Null Star for Nova, then you use the Neutron Star Augment to blow up the stars. It blows up all these boxes in the area, gives you lots of loot, get Argon Crystals, Iatan Stars, etc., etc. There's going to be a video in the description, like I said. But as you see on this build, we have no Prime Flow. If I was to put Prime Flow on here and take off some other mod, let's say I put it right there, we'd have almost 1,000 energy. Pretty much complete overkill, in my opinion. If you go watch the video about this, the idea of it is you basically are using this only in the Void, so Streamline actually works pretty nicely because there's these orbs in the Void. If you fly next to it in a Prime frame, gives you energy back, blah, blah, blah. This video is not about that, though. But basically, what these Archon shards are meant to do in the first place is make it so you can change your build up and use mods that might be more useful than the mods that do specific stats. So we're going to go over what these Blue Archon shards can do. One of the most valuable stats is what I just showed you, which is, energy. So you got to keep in mind that energy mods are, not the hardest thing to get. There's Prime Flow, there's Archon Flow if you've done Veilbreaker and stuff like that. So energy max is going to be one of the go-to stats for these shards. So as far as what you can get, and of course there is a Tau version right here. We'll talk about Tau shards as well. Actually, no, let's talk about Tau shards right now. So as you can see, there is going to be these options as the stats you can go for. So on the left, underneath this 225, is what a non-Tau version would show you. So if I was to have a non-Tau blue shard, which I do have plenty of, I would get 150 health if I chose this option. But since I have a Tau version, which is a 20% drop chance from that Archon fight I showed you at the beginning of the video, I can get 225. It's 50% stronger for any stat I would be picking on here. So we've got options of 225 health with the Tau version, 150 with a non-Tau. There's shield capacity, which is one of the options. Unless the survivability meta of Warframe changes in the near future, I don't see any reason to ever pick this one. Maybe on Hildred, I guess. But yeah, shield capacity is anti-meta because the lower shield capacity you have, the easier you can shield gate, and shield gate gives you invincibility frames. So you want low shield capacity. I hope that they either change survivability meta at some point, or just change this option on these shards to not be shield capacity. Maybe be like built-in energy regeneration, or something that's not this, because this is just bad. All the rest of the options we have here, we have energy max, 50 energy max with a normal shard, 75 with a Tau shard. we've got armor, 150 armor with a normal shard, 225 with a Tau shard, and then health regeneration. 5 regeneration per second with a normal, and 7.5 with a Tau. Now, you might think health regeneration per second sounds super, super OP. And in some situations, it might be super, super OP. But in my personal opinion, this is not that much health regeneration, unless you were like to fully stack it up. You fully stacked it up, you got all 5 of your shard slots for health regeneration, sure. Might be kind of noticeable then, but that's you sacrificing a lot of potential EHP, or if you were to not use a blue shard, like something else, like a power strength shard or something. So, let's go over what I recommend you use if you want to use blue shards, some frames you could use them on. And I've got videos with blue shards on a couple frames, one of them being Inaros. Look at Inaros right now. This guy can have tons and tons of hit points, but he doesn't have the most armor. As you can see with my current build, which is not the most hit points you can have with Inaros. 10,000 health, but only 928 armor before I use his 4th ability, Scarab Swarm. So, as far as EHP is concerned, you want the health and armor to be somewhat close. If you have this much health, having that little of armor is not really that great. Not that really any enemy can kill us in normal missions, but if you were to go, and let's say you want to use some blue shards on Inaros, I would recommend to go for full armor shards. So it'd be 150 armor and all the slots. Because not only does Inaros not use his abilities that much, because as you can see, this one just basically drains your health to give you more armor. This one is terrible, takes away your guns and does nothing. I've got Zata's Whisper on here because he needs all the help he can get. And then Pocket Sand is only 25 energy in the first place, so we don't need extra energy for that. So just making him more EHP tanky is going to be your best bet on Inaros. But for most frames, actually, the main recommendation I'm going to give to you for Blue Archon Shards is going to be like what I showed you on Titania. Increasing your overall energy max without having to run Prime Flow. If you watched my Frost video from a couple days ago, you might remember that Frost has a terrible, terrible energy pool at base. As we see right here, only 150 energy for Frost without Prime Flow. And the funny thing is, too, let's just pick some random build here. So the funny thing is, too, if I was to go and put Prime Flow on Frost, which I believe we have Archon Flow here, same stats basically. Let's put Archon Flow on Frost, we go from 150 energy to 425 energy for an entire mod slot. Let's say I wanted to not run Archon Flow or Prime Flow for some reason. The main reason would be I want to put a different mod in that slot, and there's actually some pretty good mods you could put there instead. One of the biggest ones being range. If you are running Blue Archon Shards, I think your main reason to run them would be I want to run a range mod in there. I don't have enough energy to cast abilities constantly. If you look, Frost 4th ability costs 100 energy already. If you don't have any energy increasing maxes on Frost, you could cast one ability and you need to find orbs or you're screwed. That's one of the reasons why I have Dispensary on this build. So, that's one of the things. Okay, I want to replace this energy increasing mod, and of course, it does go off of your base energy, so as you can see, only 425. With 2 Tau Archon Shards, you'd be at 300 energy, so, you know, Frost does need a lot of different stats. So I'd say frames that have low energy pools, or relatively low energy pools, like medium tier energy pools, but you want the mod for a lot of range on, that's one of the things you could go for. Or if you want like a crazy mod like Vigorous Swap, when you equip weapons, it does increase damage for 3 seconds. Another thing right there. Things you can't get on any shard are range, though. So range is one of those stats you have to mod for on your frame. That's the big thing, guys. If you want the mod for max range, there's no way you can get it. You have to put those mods on your frame. So increasing energy max is a great one. Probably the best use, honestly. But another one, I used shards on Varuna, too, if we have a Varuna loadout. This is a frame that doesn't have a super low energy pool, but it's also not that great. I think she's got like 150, just like Frost. So another frame. Just look at their base energy pool. Are you going to be able to cast your abilities freely and as much as you want to without running, energy shards or flow or whatever like that? So that's going to be, it'll take a lot of, personal build knowledge and stuff. It's also going to depend on what kind of shards you personally have. So the biggest stats really are going to be just, energy max, and then sometimes armor. I have done videos on Necros in the past with an armor shard to make him more tanky. As you can see, he has 125 armor, not a lot, only 29.4% damage reduction on his health. And a lot of the times you are kind of running a little bit of a health tank setup on Necros. Of course, you can go shield gating. But yeah, another use for them is when you want to do a health tanking build on frames that have very low armor. Not like armor, it really scales that well anyway, and health tanking builds will fall off relatively fast, all things considered. and even with adaptation, you could jam some more armor to get that 29.4 to like maybe like, I don't know, like 40 something. So yeah, frames with super low armor that you want to do a health tank build on are also really good. As far as the maximum health shard option, I really don't go for that super often, to be honest. It could be nice if you're trying to run Arcane Grace, the arcane that gives you health regeneration per second. Basically, the main reason that no one's going to be running health regeneration shards is Arcane Grace is a much, much stronger effect. With a maxed out one, 6% health regeneration per second. So with a frame, let's say I was on this Garuda build right now, 1,000 health, you know, we're getting like 60 health regen per second. That's more than like that is more than every shard slot for health regeneration. So that's a thing. Some of the stats on these shards are really, really low. That's why people don't, like, one of the reasons people don't like blue Archon shards that much. And even the Tau version on some of this stuff is kind of underwhelming, honestly. So, yeah. Long story short, guys, use them for builds you're going to be using a lot. So, for example, on Titania, for that farming build, I'm going to be using that a lot. I'm going to be using blue shards on there. If you want to, like, if you're using combat discipline, if you watch the Gauss video from the other day, I did try out health regen shards on that build, but we were killing enemies so fast that these health regeneration shards are just too weak to hold up with how many kills we're getting with us draining combat discipline all the time. So, yeah, main things would be energy max and, I guess, armor, technically, and then health regeneration in some very niche situations. So, hope you guys found this video fun and helpful. I will be live later tonight, and I'll have videos every day on the channel. Let me know if you thought this was a helpful video. If you have any other suggestions for blue shards, feel free to let me know in the comments down below as well. Alright guys, take it easy.